You can do a probabilistic kind of a statement about what could happen in an area, but you cannot say earthquake will happen here in a certain time in a certain day. That's not possible.
With the high magnitude.
That's right. It's not possible. So it's there are going to be a lot of rumors about this whole earthquakes, or that it's going to happen. We have to evacuate at a certain time, but it's not like that. But we definitely need to be careful about
in this scenario, how can we be careful, or let's say, how can we remain safe?
Well, make sure that be in a building, say like this one, it's undamaged, and I think that's really important. You don't want to go into the building which is damaged or cracked, because that could be really dangerous, actually. And also to start repairing things and start removing things, because of that's important. Kind of keep going.
Is this aftershock dangerous?
Oh yeah, potentially, most definitely dangerous. But we can always repair back something. We can repair today to such that for next aftershock don't get damaged. You can do things like that.
What should be done to make those houses which is not cracked, or let's say which is not damaged in this earthquake, though due to this soil, can we say that the houses which is not damaged by this earthquake is safe to stay, safe to remain, though government or the engineers, they have said that this is quite good, or this house is quite well to stay?
Oh yeah, if it's the undamaged, it's safe to enter. So there is no damage, means that the structural...
Will this aftershock affect them or not?
It will, of course. And but the long as aftershocks is less than what we experienced, the chance is that the house performed pretty good, So it was, in a sense, field tested by the first big earthquake. So it's performed pretty good. But if that epicenter is closer, it would perform differently. One thing we should really start considering that. Doing repair and reconstruction is important, but also seismic strengthening. Seismic strengthening of existing buildings, existing houses. Just adding a certain reinforcement, in some cases we added...
Retrofit, can you say that or not? What is that, retrofit?
Retrofit means essentially the seismic strengthening, like a strengthening the structural system. For example, for this building, you can make this building stronger today. We can do that. Just add in certain devices in certain elements of buildings, or reinforce the columns. Or some cases we wrap the columns of beams with the fiber reinforced plastic. And sometimes we put the damping devices, shock absorbing devices. And these are actually technology, I think it's affordable. Even a place like Haiti, which is really poor, and we're able to...
Just following this retrofit stuff.
Yeah, and especially like schools and hospitals. And especially at the larger buildings, I think it's very important to do seismic strengthening. I really do, and because that's going to impact not only lives, but also how the society can exist after the major earthquake.
How can we prepare ourselves from the massive destruction? Let's say.
I think that the one thing you want to
should be done.
I think like a house, you should anchor stuff. Like for example, I see a lot of bookshelves and stuff come off there. I think you should anchor it. That's pretty easy.
That is before earthquake.
That's right. Yeah, because people do get hurt by that. And I do know that the one occasion, one person died in Japan because books just fell on her. So it's definitely that the anchor, these elements are very important things to do. It's definitely save lives, and also I think run outside usually does not help much, especially if you're not, like out here, just try to run out. Chances are you're going to get injured before you come out there.
That is during earthquake.
That's right.
What about post-earthquake? What should be kept in mind?
I think a post-earthquake, you should observe any kind of cracks in the building, and anything that become bigger cracks and so on, you should be really careful about it. Or something that some leaning condition, you should be really careful about it, and you definitely consult the structural engineers if you see anything like that.
What kind of factors should be kept in mind before the construction?
I think obviously I think somewhat building code has to address the so-called soft soil effect here. It's very different from what what expected actually. So that's something need to be addressed. Two is I think the reconstruction of the brick structures. There are certain ways we can do to make it better. And also thirdly, the construction itself, the actual quality control of it. That is so critical. So you can see that not only building code or engineering construction, but all the things have to be basically in line to make it right, you know.
Okay. What about the soil?
What about soil? Well,
What kind of soil is quite good for the construction of the building?
Well, I mean, usually you want to build things in, you know, rock, like a hard place and stuff like that. But in many cases, people don't have options. You know, it's like a limited option. You can avoid those places. For example, places like California and Japan are so crowded, we just have to build things. But you can build things really safely. It really doesn't matter what's around it. You can build really household buildings or schools or hospitals extremely safe, and even there are many ways to doing it, to even not only just save the buildings, but also be able to occupy it after that major earthquake. So you can do things like that.
Dr. Miyamoto, thank you so much for your time
Sure.
and your opinion.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah.
दर्शक यहाँलाई पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद आज हामीलाई साथ दिनुभएकोमा समृद्धि र शान्तिको अभियान हेर्दै रहनुहोला हिमालय टेलिभिजन नमस्ते